What's up you guys, my name is Mark and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I made this 3D printed Ant-Man helmet. Enjoy.
Ants! Ants! Ant-Man!
I purchased the files for this build off the Do3D website. I will have a link in the description below. The first part of this build was correctly sizing the files and then printing them off on my Ender 5 Plus. I printed these specific files at 95% of the original file size, but it really comes down to how big you want your helmet to be. And how big your head is. Since supports were required to print the main portion of this helmet, some of the surfaces came out a little rougher than others. They needed a little more than just sanding and priming, so I used Bondo to cover up these spots, and then once it was dry, I sanded with 240 and 320 grit sandpaper. The rest of the parts were sanded in 180 grit sandpaper and then covered in surface epoxy. Once the epoxy was dry, all the pieces were sanded with 240 and 320 grit sandpaper. This provided a really smooth surface to apply filler primer. Once the parts were primed, they were then, yes, sanded again with 320 and then 480 grit sandpaper. It really never ends. This priming and sanding process was done over and over and over and over again until I was happy with the smoothness of the surfaces. You can put in as much time as you want to this process. Honestly, you don't even have to do it at all. If you really wanted to, you could just skip all these steps and start here. I don't really freaking care. After all the parts were smoothed to my liking, I needed a way to connect all the pieces together. Enter my favorite cosplay tool, magnets, baby!
That's it, baby!
As you probably know, I use these magnets in pretty much every single one of my builds, but they worked especially well here because of their centering effect. Once the parts are assembled in the correct position, I never have to worry about aligning them again, and they snap to the same place every single time.
60% of the time, it works. Every time.
Since I didn't give you a lot of detail on where I actually placed these magnets, I'm just gonna give you a quick demonstration of how I put the mask on. You start with the main piece. After that has been placed on your head, you take the front mouthpiece and you attach it to the left earpiece. After those two pieces are connected, you attach the left earpiece and the mouthpiece to the main portion of the helmet. Follow that up by taking the right earpiece and connecting it to the mouthpiece, and you're left with something like this. Now you can easily take your main front piece on and off, and it's super easy to breathe, move around, and you can see in pretty much every direction. And now, a humble word from our sponsor. Yeah, it's no one. It's no one. All the parts of the helmet were either painted with metallic silver, gray, black, or red spray paint. I started off by applying a coat of metallic silver over the entirety of the helmet. I used masking tape to block off portions of the helmet that I wanted to keep silver, and then continued to add color until I got the look I wanted. Now, this is tedious, and it sucks. Yeah. I put on some clear coat, and then all that was left was to put in the lenses and some padding on the inside of the helmet. I used some clear plastic stencil and red window tint to create the lenses for the mask. I traced the shape of the eye onto paper, cut it out, and then transferred that to the red window tint and stencil. After sticking the window tint onto the stencil, I attached the lenses to the inside of the helmet using hot glue. I used some Eva foam to add some padding to the inside of the helmet so it better conformed to my head. And after that was done, the helmet was finished and the final product looked like this. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel for more content. I'll see you next time, and for the love of all that is holy, stay classy.